Hello, everyone. I'm going to get started and underway in a moment here. Let some attendees pile in. I'm just setting myself up here to stream on YouTube as well. If you can see and hear my screen well, go ahead and let me know in the chat panel there in Zoom, please. Thank you. Garrett, no, I was on mute for a moment there, just getting everything situated and sorted here. This is the first one of these webinars that we're doing where we've actually broadcasted it out to new users. So typically I've done this for a few months, but only on YouTube as a live open forum for Q&As, versus what we're looking to do here now is have our new signups join me for more of a tutorial on the software at the beginning here, and then maybe open it up for short Q&A afterwards. I'm not sure why I can't get this to go away now. We're looking good everywhere, so I can see some people starting to pile in. All right, I'm going to close. I'm going to close the questions here, and if we can, if everybody can direct towards the chat. And then hello to you, anybody that's over in YouTube. If you are in YouTube, just please understand you are going to be on a pretty big delay compared to the people that are in Zoom. So we're really trying to focus this Tuesday and Thursday webinars to be in Zoom. But you are all, of course, welcome to join via the YouTube as well. Just understand that there's probably a hefty delay that's in there. And for those of you that are in YouTube, if you prefer to try to make it over here in Zoom, I'll drop the link that's over here for that. So, all right, I see we're up to 8 attendees so far, 9 attendees now. All right, so I just given it a moment here to see who filters in actually and who doesn't. And we're sharing screen. That looks right. So, all right, folks, I don't know what everybody's levels are so far as the software goes. I see that, there's 9 attendees at the moment. Recognize a couple of the names that are in here, not all of them. So I'm not sure if it's better to handle today as more of an open Q&A for the next hour, roughly, or if you prefer me to just kind of start to go on some of the things that I think are most important on this here. So if you are in the you can pop out the chat panel, let me know there. And it'll give me a better direction to go at the moment. Like I said, I'm not sure on everybody's levels here. Of software understanding. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as I would if we were just a full, 30, 40, 50, 100 people that had, maybe in their first week of trade ideas. And so first, I just always like to welcome everybody and thank you for joining. I always like to tell people everybody has an agenda in life. Obviously, us at Trade Ideas, we have one too, but our agenda is dependent on your folks' success with this software. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built overnight. There's a learning curve to the software. The software can be very simple. It can be very complicated. It can be, a lot of what you want it to be. And do we have everything for everyone? No, but we have a lot for most anybody with, over 500 data points. So whenever anybody loads the software to begin with, you're going to have a layout that starts. And I believe that everybody does load to what we call the momentum channel. You have a channel bar, something that looks like this. And I believe what everybody starts with is going to be something that looks like this here, actually. What each channel is essentially a conglomerate of scans, charts, and single stock windows. We call this a layout. Each channel can only be loaded individually as is from the bar. And we hold all these channels on what we call our server side, meaning that you cannot make edits to these channels on your own and then have them saved within the channel. You can make edits and then do what we call them save to your local layout or save to your personal cloud. So what we've tried to do with these channels, and we're always updating and revamping the software. So what you see now, something could be different in a week, a month, a year. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Generally speaking, a lot of these things, we don't delete any of these things. They may just get moved around. So if there's something that you like that you couldn't find and you didn't have it saved, you can always just send us an email and we'll be happy to get you a link to that. All right. So as I was saying, each one of these scans represents something. Go over all these here. I just want to get rid of small borders. So get my drawing tool out. Everything is going to have some kind of icon to indicate what it is. All right. So I'm going to stick with this layout for the moment here. I want to get rid of what's called small borders so you folks can see everything that I'm trying to show you. So if we look on the charts, we've got this icon up here indicating we know that that's a chart. All right. And I'm sorry if some of this seems overly basic. I want to go with, everybody's kind of at the same level, and, we'll move forward kind of quickly based on how fast everybody's picking things up and where we are with all this. So as I was saying, the chart here with that icon, this M in this corner stands for a multi-window. This A stands for an alert window. This T stands for top list. And my single stock window is not doing what I'm asking it to do here. This S in the corner here stands for single stock window. I'm going to go into detail what each one of these items means. We're going to go into some saving and sharing individual scans and layouts, and then how to build a layout based on the things that we have here. Sorry, just making sure I'm all caught up in the panels here with questions. All right. So the first thing I want to take everybody to is what we call a top list. All right. Now, every single thing that we can do in Trade Ideas is done with a right click within the software. So if we were to right click on a chart, we can see all these different options in here. We can go through each one of these options eventually. I will be doing these beginner style webinars like this every Tuesday and Thursday. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do an open forum Q&A, same time, but it'll just be strictly on YouTube. And I'm going to show you where to find links for all these things as we go forward as well. Okay. So everything, as I'm saying, is a right click and trade ideas, whether it's a chart for configurations of the chart. We can look at time frames. We could duplicate a chart, some items in this properties here that we can all go through eventually. All right. If it's a scan, we can look at all these different items that are inside a scan for our multi-windows. A multi-window means we've taken several alert windows and combined them into one window for space saving. The alert window, we can see a configure of an alert window. We can see the configure here of our single stock window. And again, there are going to be other items in here, and context will come together as we move forward and begin to understand the full package of the software. So like I said, I want to start with what we call our topless window. It's a very popular way of scanning. And what a top list does is it goes back and forth every 30 seconds from our servers and updates with all the stocks that meet the criteria of a top list. In this top list, if we were to right click and go to configure, we can see what this top list is looking for, how it sorts and orders the stocks, and then how it will display those stocks based on that. So as we right click, and if anybody is trying to follow along on any top list, we'll come to first the strategies tab. And this is going to be the settings as one view that are right here. Okay. The second is going to be our search function here. In here, every single filter that we have that has over a 1 minute time frame will be displayed in here. And we can go through and search for things. So if someone was, more advanced and they knew they wanted to look for something like RSI, relative strength index, they could type RSI and you'll return all the items that match with RSI. Or if someone was looking and they just wanted to say, I want to scan for volume, all our volume metrics that have a 1 minute or higher time frame on them would be it within here. Every filter we can look for the definition of. All right. So if we click and highlight and we were to press help, we will get a web page that will look something like this. And it'll take us right to the filter that we were looking for the definition of. People will understand things at different rates with different experiences. That's to be understood. Any questions that anybody ever has, please send them to us if you have them outside of regular trading hours or something you're just working on, you're just waiting for an answer at any time. info@trade-ideas.com. All right, that email address that will get you to us. Someone's there, I'll say in between 14 and 16 hours a day, give or take. All right, so I've shared that in one spot. Let me share it in YouTube as well. So this is the basics of a top list. As we were to add anything to a scan, we could, for example, select if we wanted to give a scan a average 5-day volume filter. We could add that filter just like that, and then we can give it a value. That will lead us to what we call our window specific filters tab that's here. In it, you'll see values. If a filter has a value to it, that means that filter is being actively used in the scan. If you see a filter there without a value in it, that means that filter is not being actively used for scanning. Again, each tab with a function, exchanges. These are all the exchanges that we can look at here. All top lists will default to look at the major US exchanges. You can always add in the pinks, OTCs, the BATs, Small Exchange, and Toronto and TSX Ventures if you so wish. Symbol lists we're not going to cover for the moment. That gets into some more advanced items. All right. Columns is going to be a two set of function data here. The selected columns that we see here are all the columns that will be displayed in the scan. So if I move this out of the way and we can see the actual scan here, we can see price and there's price. And we can see change from close, and we can see, where are you? Change from close. We can see relative volume, and there's our relative volume. We can see our 5-minute volume, and there's our 5-minute volume, so on and so forth. So the selected column is what's actively being displayed in the scanner. The left side, the right side here, will be items that were either involved in the scan or somehow involved in a default of the scan that may not be selected in there at this moment. And we could use the toggles left to right to go back and forth with these. So for example, if I don't want to see a 5-minute volume percent, I could just simply go left to highlight it and go left to right. And if I press OK, notice the 5-minute volume here going to disappear from the scan. And there it is, gone. All right, right click brings us back to that configure. There may be a filter that you want displayed here that you won't see in the columns. You'll simply come to search and you'll search for that column. Again, I like to use RSI as an example, very popular. If we want to know the 1-minute RSI given this time frame here, we could click it, click on show column, we'll press OK, and now we can see the 1-minute RSI appear here. All these things can be dragged and expanded like any other window in any other program, any other function. The columns can be reordered simply by clicking and grabbing the column, shifting them around. Columns can be made to be larger or smaller. There are some limitations to the grids based on the size of the window that you have. So, please, what those limitations are exactly, try to think about what reasonable sizing would look like. I'm going to take a pause here just to see if there's any questions to circle back to on at the moment. All right, so Colin, what I'm actually doing here today is a very basic webinar for new beginners to start without getting into the advanced stuff. In these beginner webinars, I probably won't be doing much covering of automation in them. I would recommend you, Colin, if you're looking for automation, to join me at 3:30 on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or you can join any of the guys. These will all be Eastern times. Join any of the guys. We also do live Q&As at noon Eastern on all market days, Monday through Friday. Depending on where we get to over this next about 45 minutes that I have left here, I'll see if I can circle into some of what you're looking for. But like I said, what you're looking for is some pretty advanced stuff right now that we can cover. I just don't know if we'll get to it in these beginning webinars. And Martin, type your if you can type your question out to me there, Martin, in the chat panel, and I'll get to it that way there. So I want to circle back on this here. What this is doing, this topless, if we come to the configure, we're essentially telling these scans, I want you to find stocks based on what I've decided in these filters here, and then return me those stocks. All right, so we've made it to columns on the tab. The sort column now, we are going to tell the scan how to display these stocks and order these. So for example, you could have a top list that's going to display to you maybe possibly 1,000 stocks meet that scan. But how are we going to display those 1,000 stocks, and what order are we going to display them? Okay, so the sort is telling us what we want from top to bottom. So right now we can see we have change from close percent selected with the biggest on the top, meaning that the stocks with the largest change from close will be sitting up on top and ordered down in that order from largest change from close to smallest change from close. Each window has the capability of holding a maximum of 1,000 items at a time, okay? Default, they will generally have in between 50 or 100. Again, everything being a right click here. If we were to right click and come to time frame, and we come to what's called set record count here, we can see the max record count is 100, meaning that only 100 stocks will be displayed in here. So the top 100 stocks from change from open, from the change from close will be displayed in that order descending down, okay? I'm gonna pause, how to configure for pre-market high break. All right, Martin, so if you give me a couple of minutes here, I will circle to that question. I just want to finish up some of the basics with the basic scanning here, okay? And will it slow down if more than 100? Great question, Jonathan. It leads me into what I was going to bring to next. We have a limited amount of bandwidth that can be put in and out. Not so much as we, but you. The information superhighway, you think about it, how much can go back and forth. If you have, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scans of topless that are actively scanning, and you have them all at, let's say, 100 on the set record count, you're probably going to be pretty safe. You shouldn't, depending on your computer, of course, and your internet connection itself, shouldn't see any slowdowns. If all of a sudden you're running 4 or 5 topless that have 1,000 on that record count right here, all right, even if 1,000 stocks aren't meeting that scan, it is now going back and forth to the server every 30 seconds and trying to find 1,000 stocks on each one of those lists that are set to 1,000 stocks, regardless. That's not going to bode well for bandwidth. There is no magic number on some of these. A lot of it's going to be dependent on your machine, how active the internet in general is around you, your connection, all right, and how active the scan is and the rest of the scans. So some of this will take some trial and error to know where to go. We do have what's called a performance monitor, but that won't always indicate that you're going over bandwidth necessarily, all right? So they're two kind of different items. And again, a lot of what I'm going over, I understand, can lose some context, but as you go forward over the next few days here, I think a lot of this will come together. So please make sure not only to attend these Tuesdays and Thursdays, but please join us for the noon Eastern ones that we do of these, and for the 3:30 Eastern Monday, Wednesday, Fridays that will be more open forum. Okay. So that's the basics of a top list, essentially, though. So what we've done, if we come to the summary, we've said to this top list right here, we're saying, find me stocks that are between $1 and $100. Also, where they've traded at least 1,000 shares today. Also, where their change from close, is up at least 2% from the previous close. And please, I know a lot of people, this is not a comment on anything other than I can see where it gets confusing. It's something I was confused on once upon a time. Gap and change from close are not the same thing. While our gap function, our gap filter will actively move during the pre-market, gap is actually the change of price from close of the previous day to the open of the current day, versus change from close is constantly calculating what the price is changed from the previous close. Gap is from the close of the previous day to the open of the current day. That's it. Gap doesn't move after that. All right. There's an EPS filter in here. And what we've done with this EPS filter is we put it in there to actually use as a hack to get rid of any ETFs, essentially. All right. And we have a float filter in here. And we're saying we only want to see stocks if the float is less than 20 million in that float. If some of these terms aren't making sense to you, I'm going to recommend some kind of notebook. Write down what float means. Investopedia, DuckDuckGo, Google, whatever it is you like to search, because knowing some of these trading terms is going to be very crucial in all of your scanning and all of your trading and all of your learning of this platform and finance in general. So you're going to want to know what these things mean. So that's what we've done with the scan. We've asked it to scan for these things, and every 30 seconds, it's going to return to us based on that server sort and the set record count, the top 100 stocks that meet the criteria of what we've told the scan to do here. All right, so let's get back to all this here. And I'm going to jump and pause and answer Martin's question here, because this may answer questions for all of you here. All right, so Martin's asked how to configure for pre-market high break. Now, Martin, are you looking for pre-market high break during regular trading hours or pre-market high break in the pre-market? Because we have ways to scan for both of those that are a little different. And then break at the open. Very good. So what we can do here is a few things. Anytime we want to build a new alert, whether it's an alert window, a top list, a multi, anytime we want anything new, right here in our menu bar, a lot of functions up here that we're going to become familiar with over the next few days, new. And for this, we can look for either alert window or top list, okay? If it was a top list, we're going to search and we're going to type pre-market. We're going to look at all these items that are in here for pre-market, okay? And so the position in pre-market range is a pre-market filter. That's only going to work in pre-market versus above pre-market high and below above pre-market low and below pre-market high. These are filters that'll actively work during the live trading day, okay? So if I were to select this below pre-market high and I add this filter here to the scan, okay? excuse me, let me do that this way. Add this filter, all right? It's going to have added it, and we're in the window specific filter now. And there's what we call a show me function in here, okay? And if we click on that show me function in the middle, this will let us know exactly what we're telling the scan to do when we give values. Because if you notice, we have a minimum, and that's highlighted by this teal color, and a maximum value for every single filter that's in here. So if I were to, for example, put in a 1 in this, it's going to tell me now, show me stocks where the price is at least $1 below the pre-market high. If I actively change that and I go over here and I put point, now you can see it says, show me stocks where the price is at least 10 cents below today's pre-market high. We can add a maximum value too, and we could also put in a 1, for example, and we could say, show me stocks where the price is between 10 cents and $1 below today's pre-market high. And so that's how we could get something to return us a list of stocks that are in a certain range or at a certain point above or below a pre-market high. If we wanted to take this a step further and do what's called an alert window, I haven't gone into the difference between alert windows and topless, but this could be a good segue into it. Alert windows are a 2-function set. So in the topless, we discussed how it's all filters. If you notice, actually, I want to take a screenshot and show you this here. Give me a moment here. I want to find the screenshot. Okay, screenshot function does not work in Zoom like it does in my other webinars. Give me one moment because I want to be able to show you this difference here. I think it's very important to see. However, not going to allow me to do what I'm looking for here. All right, so we're in a topless configure. This will have to be this way. Notice that it goes strategies, search, window specific filter, okay? When we exit this and we go into the not the function, but excuse me, the configure of an alert window, notice how we have a new tab here that says selected alerts. That was not in the top list, okay? So topless, go with just filters, 30 seconds back and forth, updates with all the stocks meet the criteria. A top list will give us a time-stamped alert of a stock that meets all the filters in our window specific filters and meets what we call an alert or an event. So if we come back to the search here, notice how in the top list, everything started off and they all looked like this here with these dual icons, teal and purple. On the alert search, we have all these icons. These are all events. A new high, a new low, new ask high. We're going to scroll down, 75% pullback from the lows, 75 pullback from the high, okay? Standard deviation breakdown, or breakout, breakdown. These are all what we call alerts or events. So the top list will work twofold, that the filters inside here, when we give filters values, and the selected alert have to be met at the exact same time. That will give us a time-stamped alert saying, boom, at this exact time, this stock did exactly what you were asking me to look for, okay? So going back to this pre-market breakout, some folks like to use just the top list to scan in the pre-market, to just get a list of stocks that are active in the pre-market. Some folks will want a pre-market scan that's an alert window that, for example, if we type pre-market here, now we notice that we had all those other filters from the pre-market that were right here, 1, 2, 3, that were in the top list. We also have the pre-market highs and pre-market lows, okay? For this exercise, because we're looking for something that's breaking out during the breaking out of its pre-market high in regular market hours, okay? So what we'd want for this alert as a new high, we want the stock to be making a new high on the day, okay? And then we also, so we're going to add that alert. So we highlight and click there, click add alert. We're going to put a check mark in here. You're going to notice that this alert has a filter attached to it. If we were to put a 365 there, that means we'd be looking at 52-week highs, because 365 days equals 52 weeks. If we leave this blank, we're just looking at a new high on the day here, okay? So this new high on the day, all right, now we're going to couple it with that pre-market filter. And we want to look for, let's say, below pre-market highs, and we add this filter, okay, we can now say, show me stocks where excuse me, make sure I do this right. We use the show me function, show me stocks where the price is below today's pre-market high. It is at today's pre-market high. It is no more than 1 cent above today's pre-market high. We can reverse that now. And this could give us a running start at breaking the pre-market high and say, show me stocks where it's at least 1 cent above today's pre-market high. Or we could take away this minus and we could say, show me stocks where the price is above today's pre-market high, the price is at today's pre-market high, or the price is no more than 1 cent below today's pre-market high. All right, so these are all the different things that we can do with this one filter here. All right, if I press OK, we can see that filter value carried over. There it is right there. We get to the basis of a scan. So now just the start of the scan says it's got to be making a new high on the day, doing what we just asked it to in the pre-market as far as regarding pre-market. All right. We could now define the rest of the scanner. We could say, well, I want to see liquid stocks. So we can search volume, all right? And all these different volume filters that are in here, we could look at shares for today. Here we see it. Here's volume today in shares as the value. And we can add that filter and we could say an arbitrary number I like to go with lately is something like 150,000 shares. So now we're telling the scan, show me stocks where it's making a new high on the day. It's traded at least 150,000 shares today, and it's no more than 1 cent below its pre-market high. So we know that we're right at that pre-market high that we could be busting through. We could take it a step further, and we could say to this, we want a volume, we want a price. All right, now price is already in there, but I just like to continue to show the search function. All right, so price, unit is dollars, okay? And we'd add that filter. And we could go with stocks, let's say in between $2 and $100. Okay, and so now we have the basis of a scan here. And in the summary, once again, we can look. The alert is a new high on the day. The stocks have to be in between $2 and $100. Stocks where the volume is at least 150,000 shares, and stocks where the price is above today's pre-market high, also where it is at the pre-market high, and where it is no more than 1 cent below today's pre-market high. Now, if I click OK, it'll have that scan, but I can always also name the window. Default new window is the name right now, but I'm going to name it breaking pre-market highs. And populate it on another window, but I'm going to bring it right over here. I can right click now and take a look at the history of today. Now remember, this can only load 1,000 items at once. So it's going to say more available here. Excuse me, just getting a private message in here. So we see that more available here. If we wanted to see more, and again, everything in Trade Ideas, right click, history, I could click more and I can see more trades going back, and I can keep going back and do that back up to 64 market days, actually, assuming that there's alerts going back that far in this. We can also use a time frame here, but these are other things that we'll get into these functions later. But what I want to illustrate here is this. I want to show the pre-market here. I want to get rid of some of these risk levels. So now we have some pre-market, this lightly shaded area here. I do wish it was a little darker on that shade. Not sure if there's a way for me to get that right now. So I want to try to darken this up a little bit here so we can see. All right, so now you can see that pre-market a little bit better. All right, and we're going to go through and we're going to find an alert. So SPXS, we get the alert here. So it had taken out its pre-market high, was making a new high on the day. Let's see if we can find something much earlier in the day where we can see really, because every time a stock makes a new high on the day with this scan, it's going to give us an alert as long as it's above the pre-market high. So let's go to stuff that's closer to the open. Very active scan that we've got going on here. So here we go, ExxonMobil, all right? This is a great example. There's the pre-market high, okay? And ExxonMobil in this candle takes out that pre-market high. So we get that alert here at 9:38 and 58 seconds on March 31st, 2022. Timestamp to the second, all right? I'm going to throw another filter or two in here to limit what's coming in here. All right, so maybe I'm going to give this a relative volume of 2. All right. And let's see, is there anything else that we should do in this to tone down the amount of alerts that are coming through? I think we'll leave that at that for now. All right. I'm going to add this column, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this template out with everybody right now. All right, and we'll call it from Zoom Webby. Now, in order to save and share these to the clouds, right click, save or share to cloud. I'm going to paste that here. Excuse me, copy, paste that here. There we go. And that's out to everybody in Zoom. That's out to anybody that's over in eventually YouTube. There we go. All right. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with how this is going to go for saving and sharing to the cloud, very, very simple here. So here's the chat panel that I just shared that in. Anybody can click that link. And when you click that link, you're going to get a web page that looks just like this. Okay. And up here is going to be a URL. Go ahead and highlight it, copy it. Then on your menu bar up here, go to File, Load from Cloud. That URL should be loaded here for you already. In the event it is not loaded, just simply paste it. Very easy. When you click Load, you are going to get that scan that we just worked through right there. All right. Now, I just want to take a moment here and go over a little bit of sharing, saving and sharing again. And then I'm going to open up for a couple of minutes on questions here. And then we'll wrap up for the day. And then I really, really implore and encourage you all to please make the noon session tomorrow and the 3:30 session again tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said, will not be done on Zoom, just on our YouTube channel. I'm going to also go over how to get to all of those. Okay. So a few things with saving and sharing to the cloud and locally. Let's start with local first. If we come to our menu bar and we go to load layout here, notice we have load from cloud, save or share to cloud, load window, load layout, save layout. These are your locals here. If we go to load layout, you're going to have what's called your default layout, all capitals with that underscore there, an LTI file, okay? This default layout is the layout. The local layout will be the one that loads every single time you start trade ideas, okay? So when you exit trade ideas, if you click the X on the menu bar to exit trade ideas, and it asks you if you want to save, if you were to click yes, that will become your default layout. and the layout that starts up the next time that you start trade ideas, okay? You can have multiple layouts. I encourage multiple layouts. And by doing that, you'd simply go load layout. And if you don't want the layout that you have currently to be your default layout, but you want it saved, you simply rename it to whatever you want. Click save, and that will live within File, Load Layout. And you can see here that I have a whole bunch of layouts from over the years, none of which I really use anymore, but they exist in there. I've never deleted them. These are all local files to my computer. Your second saving of layouts, and this is a great practice to do because you never know what's going to happen to your computer, or if you just get a new computer, it'll make it really easy to load anything. If you go to save or share to cloud here, you can click entire layout, and you'll see these check marks go into all these items that are here on your layout. And you can decide what you do or do not want to check, all right, and that you want there. You give the layout a name here, and by clicking save, it'll live in your cloud now. And wherever you go, that layout will always be there. You can save individual windows to the cloud as well. So let's just say that you are visiting your brother, visiting your sister, visiting your aunt, anywhere in the world, or you're, helping take care of something, for someone. You're on a laptop somewhere, you're on some other person's computer that you can use to use the software. You'll be able to load your layout from anywhere in the world that you can access the internet to and load trade ideas on. Now, we can also save individual windows to the cloud or locally as well. Right click, save or share to cloud, and it'll have here what you're saving. You'll see just the check mark in the one item. You could save a group together if you want of windows. That's another way that you can do it. And you can give that group a name, of course, and then save it, and it'll be in your layout and, in your cloud as well. You could save individual windows as well. The save as function here, that's going to make it as a locally saved item. The save default, if you use that on any scan or chart or any item within trade ideas, means every time you start a new one, it'll always load as that default. So for example, I have created a default chart that I like my charts to load up to every time. So if I go new chart window, this is how my charts load every single time, okay, based on what I saved the default as. These become some things that'll be helpful down the road as you start to get into scan building, all right? The last thing I want to do before I open it up for a few minutes of questions is this here. Our website is a trove of knowledge, okay? Please become familiar with it. I'm going to bring it over here, trade-ideas.com. I'm going to post this for everybody here. Please make sure you have that saved. In here, all these different tabs, okay? Education tab is a place you're going to want to really get familiar with, all right? In here, we have our user's guide, fully searchable. Anything that gets added to the software will become here. Anything that gets added in the software will, or anything that's updated in the software will also come here, all right? If we scroll down, we're going to find all these different items in here. Our alert windows, our T-lists, top lists, multi, everything is in here, tons of instructions. If you're looking for something specific, you can click on full table of contents and you can start to search for anything that you're looking for, and it'll return you all these items that are over here, all right, and get you to the different items that relate to what you're searching for. There is a lot of repetitive things inside this manual, all right? It was never meant to be a PDF that someone downloaded and printed out. If you do that, it'll probably be 800 pages, all right? It was meant to be a quick search guide for anybody wondering how a function or a use of the software works, okay? If we come back to the education tab over here, we have these 20 introductory lessons. They're a nice set of lessons, okay? There's no sound to them. It's a very quick point function type of set of lessons, all visual, all right? Daily support sessions. Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, we do a live open Q&A on YouTube. Make those, all right? We're sharing our screens. You can use the chat function there, all right? That's how we go forward with it there. At 3:30 Monday, we're going to have to update this now. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do the same thing that we do at noon, but at 3:30 Eastern at this same time slot. Only it's going to be open forum on YouTube live. Okay. We have our traders room. Get in there. Barry will tell you he doesn't teach you how to trade stocks. Sit in there, listen to what he's doing. Take notes. All right. If you're someone that really doesn't know trading yet, I learned everything I know from trading at the beginning from Barry. I'm not a finance person. I've taken no finance class in my life. I learned everything I know about trading starting here with the Trade Ideas community, and now get to work for them. It doesn't happen overnight. All right. It took me 2 years of losing before I finally started having some success in trading. So you're going to have to be patient. This is not a world for people with lack of patience. We do bi-weekly daily webinars. So every other week will be a Monday and a Wednesday webinar. Then the next week will be a Tuesday, Thursday webinar. Different topics are covered in there. The guys are always building new scans, showing how to use the data, going over charts. Get involved in those if you can. They are all recorded and put on our YouTube page. We have a list of educational videos here. Back to basics. Michael Noss teaches his wife how to trade stocks, starting with the literal question, what is a stock? And goes all the way up to Holly and algorithmic trading in there. So for Colin, if you're still here, I'm going to highly recommend you get into these back to basics videos. Again, they're on the education page, but I'm going to send those out as links to everybody. All right. Very basic stuff. Get involved in those. Okay. We have as well just started, but I don't see a link to it currently, unfortunately. So I'm going to post it here. Let me find it. A new set of getting started videos. These are absolutely fantastic videos that our teammate Stephanie just did. They're not overly long. I'm going to first post them here for you folks, the links. And I'm going to bring this over here. Please bookmark these links. You're going to want them in this getting started videos. All right. There you go. You get a shot of me and Andy, Steve, Barry. All right. Different times that we're doing different items. Each episode, download and install. All right. Episode 1. We're talking a couple of minutes on some of these videos or less. Video number 2 here. All right. Oops. Excuse me. First startup and login. 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Take the time to go through these. These will be worth it. I wish this stuff existed when I first started, okay? It would have been super helpful for me. It didn't. We have much more resources live and recorded than we've ever had before. So get familiar with these, all right? There may be an answer within a 1 or 2 minute video here while you're hung up at 8 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning. If some of you were like me, I spent countless hours up all night with this software at the beginning of it. All right, so get familiar with those things. We're here for you, all right? We're trying to implement new things as far as the education goes of this to really get people up to speed as fast as you can. So again, I really appreciate everybody that was coming in. What I want to do here on the Zoom side, there isn't a ton of people in here. So everybody that's here on the Zoom side, I'm going to go one by one, and I'm going to start right down the list. We're going to go from Martin to AK on down the list. Give you a second here. I'm going to put an allow to talk. Give you a moment. If you have a verbal question you want to hit me with here, I'm going to try to keep it to something short so I can get through everybody. And this is something new. I've never done a one-on-one talk with users like this in this format before. So, we'll try to keep it to something simple. So I'm going to hit Martin right away first here. Allow you to talk, Martin. If you want to come in and ask something, go ahead. I'll try to demonstrate that specific item live right now. Go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll give you a moment here. And again, like I said, I cannot stress this education page. So I see you're unmuted, Martin. Go ahead, see if I can hear that here. You don't have a mic. All right, pop it into the chat if you have any other question, Martin. I know we just went over that one for you, so we'll give you a second one. I'll put you back mute. AK, all right, coming down to you. All right, if you've got a question, go ahead and fire that at me here. All right, Martin, so we're going to hit that in a minute here. I'm going to give AK another moment. And we've got a whole channel built around gappers, actually. You're good. All right, very good. I'm coming down the line. I'll hit you with an allow to talk. All right. No, no worries. No worries. I do speak some Spanish, so I lived in Argentina for a number of years. I'm not perfect, but if that's ever something that we need to do, we might be able to. Sorry, French. Sometimes it's real close with Spanish, sometimes it's not, just like with Italian. All right, so want to go ahead and so the link to this, sure. Sorry, I just want to go through and because I want to make sure that I leave this so that we keep it, the way it is moving forward. So I don't have a recording link to it now. There will be a recording link up to it later on YouTube. You find and get a spot where you can get that from. You can find all of our recorded stuff on our YouTube channel. Selfless plug here. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We're really looking, to get this going here, our YouTube channel. So this is where you're going to be able to find it. Anything that we've done right there on our YouTube channel. I'm not sure that I need to redundantly post that in YouTube, but I will. Figure if you're on YouTube already, you've already kind of found where we live, but all the same, there we go with the YouTube channel. So Doug, I'm going to hit you with an allow to talk. All right.
Lisa gets an office. You get an office.
Don't know enough to really ask a question at this point.
All right, no worries, no worries. So we're gonna keep moving down the line. I'm gonna get to this gappers here. All right, so like I said before, we have all these channels here, and we have what we call pre-market channel. Note in the news, we have two different channel bars. Channel bar and dock channel bar. We'll cover some of this stuff more moving forward in the future days. But the dock channel bar essentially is a group of windows that are all docked together and can be moved as one unit. All right. So there'll be channels that exist in the channel bar that'll not exist in the dock channel bar. And there'll also be different formattings of similar channels based on what works and does not work well in a dock. So for those of you that are looking for gappers in the morning, excuse me, we have this lovely pre-market channel here. When I did do a little pre-market trading or pre-market work, this is where I've done a lot of it from. And you're going to have up gappers and down gappers and this multi-window pre-market movers. Okay. So again, we're looking at top list here. We're looking at multi-windows. All right. A couple of charts that are in here. And what anybody can do is start to make this their own if they wanted to, and then save it as a layout. And remember that saving it won't save it to the channel. But what we could do is, for example, and what I'm going to do as an exercise right now is build a quick redo of this channel for you all. We're going to dock it together, and I'm going to save and share it with you all so you can have something for the pre-market. So like I said, we have this docked function, and we can duplicate anything into a docked window. And so if I right click anything, again, duplicate into dock window, now we can see that this scan behind here, duplicated into this big window here. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so we can see what I'm actually doing. And you're going to cooperate with me eventually. There we go. Dual resolutions on the screen was affecting the vision here. So we have this here and there, all right? Again, I'm gonna name this, right click, everything, right click. We're gonna change the title of this. We're gonna call it pre-market for Zoom, all right? And then you can relabel this anything you want, but just so we know a reference where it came from. I'm gonna go a little quick here and I'm gonna right click and we can see duplicate into pre-market for Zoom. All right, and as I get these in those windows, I'm gonna get rid of these items here. And we're gonna go with duplicate into pre-market for Zoom. And we're gonna get rid of that, all right? And let's see here. We're gonna right click and get that in here. Now, right now, they're all tabbed, all right? And we're gonna work them, excuse me, all in together in just a moment here. But what's a layout? Whoops, excuse me, without a chart, right? So we're gonna go with new. We're gonna get some chart windows in here that I like, and hopefully you'll like them too. And I'm gonna duplicate this into pre-market for Zoom. And I'm gonna do this a few times. And you're all gonna walk away with some layouts today, all right? Now, we've got something pretty serious and big going on here. All right, and get this expanded out. And we're going to start to organize this whole thing here. So the first thing I'm going to do is organize the charts. Simply going to grab the tab that I want to organize and pull it. Now it looks like it's free floating here, but in fact, it is not actually free floating. All right. If I grab it again, you can see there's this tool here that shows me where and how I can dock this. So I'm going to go ahead and dock this chart up there like this. Okay. And now we can see it's docked there. Now I see this other chart and I'm going to grab and go ahead and pull that. I'm going to dock it next to this chart. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So we've got three nice charts right up top with each other here. Whoops. There we go. And like anything else, we can size and resize, all right? Give ourselves space for everything. And we're going to right click here. We can come to time frame, and it's nice to have a daily chart so we can look at what the stock's doing on a daily chart. And, you know, in the pre-market, I'm not sure what you're going to want, but I'm going to go with the 15 and 5-minute defaults. So there's a right click and a 15-minute chart. And there's a right click, and we're going to leave this as 5 minutes, okay? On these charts, I have a 20 SMA in the blue and an 8 SMA in the red. If you don't like those indicators, if you want different indicators, all right, a right click and indicators. You're going to come across all the indicators here, and everything that I'm going over, this is all shown in our user's guide. So please make sure to jump in there if you're playing around with the software after hours. Okay. Next, we got to get these scans organized, right? Actually, I'm sorry. Let's circle back to the charts. Right now, we don't have pre-market data on these charts. If we right click and come to properties, inside properties, there's a lot of functions that we can find in here. Again, all covered in the user's guide. For this exercise, we want to show pre-market data, and right click and we want to show pre-market data. There is no pre-market data for the daily charts, only for the intraday charts, okay? And this 5-minute chart, we're not scrolled back far enough to see it, but if we scroll back, and scrolling on charts works with your mouse wheel. If you just scroll, it will go back in time. If you hold control and scroll, it'll zoom in and out on the chart, okay? Now we can see the pre-market here. We've got those indicators if we want them in there. We've got volume as an indicator, which is always nice to have, all right? Now we're gonna organize the scans, all right? So we've got the down gappers. Let's get the up gappers. And we're gonna put it just like this. So now down gappers and up gappers are living right above each other, right? And we still have some other items that we need to go through here. Let's find them. Whoop, they're on the bottom here, tab. So now we have the multi-window, okay? And we may want to do the multi-window, and we can place it like this. All right. And then we may decide that, you know what, I want more space for the multi-window. I don't need as much space for the up and down gappers. So I'm going to take the down gappers and actually reorganize it right here like this and give the multi more space this way. All right. So a lot of things that we can do for organizing this. I'm just giving you an example right now, or I could even take the single stock window and I could bring it over here. And now we've got kind of more of an even format going on for all these items here. And we see how we've just made a layout just like that. We took the pre-market channel, I've reorganized it, I've named it pre-market for Zoom. Here's your up gappers, here's your down gappers. Here's a conglomerate of scans for pre-market movers. And here's some information on the stocks that are going on. All right, you know, we have a market cap, cash, your float, all right, short float, current debt, volume. You may like all those, you may like none of them. You may want to add things in addition to them. Right click, configure on the single stock window. Search for what you want for data. RSI might kind of go to. If we wanted RSI, click on this. 1 minute RSI might be important in the pre-market. We might want to see that. Maybe a 2 minute one. Let's go with the 2 minute one. I've highlighted it. Now show column. Now watch what's going to happen. It's going to appear down here. Okay. Boom. Now we have a 2 minute RSI somewhere in here. Or not. Making a fool of me. There perhaps was not enough space for it in here, and that's why it didn't load into it. And perhaps I didn't click the right button. There it is. I didn't click the right button for. So there's our 2 minute RSI that we put in there for now. All right. And there's going to be things that you may want or don't want. And the single stock window you have today will not be the single stock window you have tomorrow. Okay. In here, just to give you an idea of this multi-window, we can see all these strategies. So pre-market highs, pre-market lows, high relative volume in the pre-market. But this high relative volume is only a relative volume alert. We have a relative volume alert and a relative volume filter. The relative volume filter will not work in the pre-market, only the alert. And then we have a moving up pre-market. In each one of these, there's a configure as well. And you can go in through, take a look. There's your summary, your window specific filters that are being used here, all right, and the selected alerts, all right. But you've got a nice pre-market setup that's I'm about to share with you in just a moment here, okay. In the up gappers and down gappers, I'm going to make a change to this to share with you folks. In this sorts on gap percent. I don't like that. The reason why is that gap is technically only supposed to work being the close of yesterday to the open of today. That's it. It stays static after that. Change from close is constantly calculating throughout the rest of the day. So that's what we're going to sort on is the change from close. Essentially in the pre-market, they do the same thing. In live market hours, they do not do the same thing. Okay. In the rest of the scan, we are simply looking at stocks that are at least $1 in price. They've traded at least 2,000 shares today. We put this EPS in here to keep the ETFs out. And we're saying their average daily volume has to be at least 100,000 shares. All right. I'm going to get rid of this average daily volume as a matter of fact. Okay. Because what if today is the day for the stock for a stock, and today it's going to trade 30 million shares and it's going to run 40% today, and its average daily volume has only been 80,000 shares. Well, we wouldn't see that. We wouldn't get that in the top list here for the pre-market. So we're going to get rid of that. And think about some of the stuff that I'm saying, how it'll affect scans moving forward as you scan. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I want to change this to change from close. Okay. And I want to get rid of that 5-day volume. All right. And now the scan, both of these scans are going to work that the biggest changes from close will be displayed at the top in the pre-market with those. So these aren't scans you're going to want to run during regular market hours, because think of how many stocks will have traded 2,000 shares on the day and are 1,000 or $1 or more. You're going to have a few thousand stocks that are going to meet the criteria of the scan. That's why I think pre-market, you want one layout, regular market, you want another layout, and this is stuff that will all come together eventually. So I think what we have here is a real nice pre-market layout. This is based on gappers, okay, because we're scanning for the biggest change from close. I know gap is the filter that's here that's displayed. You know what? Maybe we're going to change that too, I think. So columns, we're going to go with change from close, in, gap, out, all right? Gap, out. All right. I like that much better for you folks. Hopefully you're going to like it too. And you're welcome to come back in and change any of this on your own. I just think that this is going to work a little better, makes more sense to what things really are. There we go. So we're looking good. We have a pre-market setup. All right. We're going to save this so that you could load this as just a window total now. Okay. So we're going to go save or share to cloud. Pre-market for Zoom, we've called it. I'm going save and share. Here's the URL. Copy. There it is pasted. All right. In both chats for you. And again, for those of you that need another walkthrough on it, you're going to click this link right there. That's going to give you this page right here. You're going to highlight, copy, load from cloud. That should be here already. And when you press load, you're going to have exactly what I just made for pre-market scanning tomorrow morning. Once you have this, you're going to do exactly what I just did. All right. You're going to right click at the top here and you're going to go save or share to cloud and you're going to save it just like I did there. All right. Once you've done that, you're going to find that, and I'm going to close all this. And if you go file, load from cloud, you're going to see pre-market Zoom with that little TI symbol indicating exactly what that is right there. All right. Garrett, yeah, you want me to go over the loading from cloud again? You got it, buddy. All right. So right here, the URL, all right, that I posted in there, just click on that URL. All right. And that's going to give you a web page that looks just like this. You're going to highlight and copy. On the menu bar, you're going to go load from cloud. It should be loaded for you. In the event that it's not, in the event that that was blank, you're going to go paste, load from cloud, and that's going to load it exactly like this. Here's a friendly tip that I've done with this. The way we have saved this and shared it, and the way you're going to save it, like I just showed you. All right. Again, to save it, right click, save or share to cloud. It has the name already, so you can just click save. It is now loaded as an actual window instead of a full layout. So you can load this into a layout you already have going, as a matter of fact. Okay. So the way it works is you can only have one layout loaded at a time. But if you save something as a window and not as a layout, you can load it into layouts that exist already. So let me know if that all made sense, if we got that. Where did I share my link? It's in the chat panel. You should have a chat panel somewhere. Look on your instructions, look for chat on the bottom of the Zoom meeting. You know, you should have all these items across there. Look for chat. And that's where you should see it. I can't find any links. Not appearing in the Zoom chat. Do you have the chat itself popped out though? Yes, popped out. Let's try this. More chat. I'm glad you all shared that with me. Can't find any link to. Nope, apparently nobody. If you folks click that chat, it doesn't give you with the links in it, huh? Oh, we're learning this one together, folks. What? I cannot just post in Q&A, actually. Well, let's try this here. Can you folks see that in the Q&A now? Okay. Thank you for your patience with me on that. So go ahead and click that link, follow that. I want to go back through the chat now, and I want to share the other links that I've shared already. I do apologize for that. My first day doing this as a real Zoom one. I'm used to doing everything through YouTube. All right, so I've just posted now where you can find our YouTube videos. And then this is going to go back to Chandru. All the most recent videos, it's all in chronological order on those videos. I know you were saying before you were having trouble finding videos. They're all going to be in chronological order, okay? So you can go through each one of these links, go ahead and save them. I believe this was the taking out the pre-market scan. And I'm gonna leave everything going for a couple extra minutes here. I know I said 4:30 is my time, but we'll go a couple extra minutes today to make sure that you all get this. Interesting. That info@trade-ideas.com. That's an email you can get to us just about anytime. We're not there 24/7, but we're there, we'll say, in between 13 and 18 hours a day. Yeah, absolutely. I can post again. Let me see if I can post it as a mass here. There we go. Reposted all those there for you. If I need to go back over the actual saving and sharing to the cloud again, let me know. All right. And then I know there's a Holly question in here. I thought there was one. So Xavier, hopefully you're still in here, right? You didn't leave me? Yeah, I see you still in in the attendees. So Holly, yes. So Holly used to be separated into 3 different segments. Essentially, okay. Answered live. Okay, very good. Just want to make sure that we get this so it gets all the way. So Holly technically has 3 segments. The reason for it was different people had different hands in creating parts of her. And so it was separated out like that. It's best to think of Holly as one entity, okay? So I'm gonna take a couple extra minutes. I'm gonna go over Holly too, all right? But let me do this real quick again with you folks. So, all right, we've got the links in here finally answered. So what we'll do here is here's all those links, all right? And let's see, where's the first link? I believe this is gonna be it. So if you click that link, there's 2 ways to do this. I'm gonna go over both of them. All right, so if we click that link, it gives us this web page, and we can see here, all right, window count is 8, name is pre-market for Zoom. Okay, we've got this URL here. We're going to copy that URL, our menu bar up here, file, load from cloud, and we're going to press load if it's preloaded there. If it's not, in the event that this is blank, we're just going to simply paste it and load, and that's it right there. And then we have it. Once you have this loaded, all right, I would save this as a docked window. This way you can load it any which way that you want, because if you save it as a layout, it can only be loaded individually as that layout. It'll get rid of everything else for you. All right. So to save it, right click at the top of the docked window, save or share to cloud, and you're going to see that it'll have the items checked there that we want saved just in that window, and we can click save, and that's it. And it'll be saved as a window, even though it's a bunch of windows together, and it gives you a lot more flexibility for loading it. Okay. So let me know if everybody's all caught up and you're good. And if so, what I'd like to do is just do a quick couple of minutes on Holly. Perfect. Just making sure everybody's caught up here. It's not showing like you had it. How's it? Well, there's no way for you to really show me. If you could give me a little more specifics, Garrett, on how it's not showing. Okay, so that's one of the other links. So you're just looking at one of the other links that I'd shared, because they shared a few links. That was a scan that we went through and built. So I'm going to put it one more time here. The link that you want for this pre-market. All right. How do we do this? Answer. Open. Answer. Okay, let me know if that came into that questions. It should be a 4:49 post, 4:49 Eastern for me anyways. All right, perfect. And so you'll have that there. You're going to load that just like I had showed. And then we'll go into a couple of minutes of Holly, and then I'll for real wrap it up. And you're all going to promise me you're going to make every single live session that you can. All right, perfect. So, all right, I want to go into Holly real quick here. Let's see, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so there's Holly on the channel bar, but I personally think the best way to load Holly is to load her into one of your layouts and incorporate her in one of your layouts, all right? So in order to do this, this will look a little different for you, the length of this, but go to new, all right? You won't have all this stuff down here. I'm on a developmental version because we're always testing things. But if you go to new, you're going to look for AI Holly strategy window. You're going to skip that. You're going to go AI Holly strategy trades window, okay? One is going to just go over, going to have her strategies listed that she came to the day with. The other is going to have the actual trades in it. So if we open that, it'll default to open to something like this. I'm not sure what your default will look like. I have defaults that are saved within my desktop here. And this is going to go over all the trades that she's been in today. Each column is going to have a different meaning to it. And like everything else in Trade Ideas, a right click. All right. So if we right click and we go to columns, we can see on the left side is the items that we're displaying. The right side is the master list, okay? I'm of the mindset less is more with most things. And so there's a lot of things that you don't need to see or know or have in here, I think. So go through and try to assess over time what you do and don't want to see. What I want to cover with Holly is what some of the basic functions and meanings are. So I'm going to bring up a set of charts here. Bear with me while I resize everything here. And what I want to show you here is some of the basics. So Holly will have a time-stamped alert, all right? And so we can see that as the entry time here, okay? You have the symbol of the stock, all right? And an entry price here. And you can reorder these columns, you know, just as, you know, I've shown with other columns, you can grab and drag them, move them around, all right? Last price means the current price, really, all right? We can also see LS standing for a long or a short trade. This is going to be the name of the strategy that it came from. This will get into some kind of more advanced stuff, all right? And then Holly has two risk modes we're going to focus on. Please forget about aggressive. Do yourself, do myself, do the entire trading world a favor. Pretend aggressive doesn't exist, all right? Each trading mode has to do with the stops and the exits of the strategies, okay? So we're going to start with aggressive to get it out of the way. Aggressive means that Holly entered the trade on the entry time and just held the trade for the whole day. There was no stop involved. Nothing could get Holly out of the trade or get you out of the trade until the market closed. I cannot stress this enough. And I'm sorry if this ever hurts anybody's feelings, but I'd rather your feelings hurt or someone insulted than to see you blow up your accounts. Trading without a stop is not trading, it's gambling. If you plan to trade without a stop, go to the bank, withdraw all your money and set it on fire. It'll be a lot faster and easier for everybody in your life, yourself included. That's what trading without a stop is, aggressive trading. It's not trading, it's gambling. Go to Vegas, go to Reno, go to Atlantic City, go to Montreal, wherever you want to go. So forget aggressive, get it out of your mind. If you have aggressive as columns up here, go to your columns, please get rid of those columns. All right. I'm begging you as a person that really wants to see everybody succeed, get rid of aggressive. Now we're going to move to moderate. Okay. Moderate means only two things could get you out of the trade. You're managing the trade in moderate risk mode. All right. And the two things that could get you out of the trade are this: a stop gets hit, or you hold to the end of the day. All right. And sell on close at the end of the day. Technically, it's a 3:55 p.m. Eastern sell order. That's what moderate means. They're the only two things that are getting you out of that trade. Okay. Very simple moderate. Also formerly known as risk on. Okay. Conservative has a whole bunch of exits that can get us out. And we've got a few of those exits displayed today. All right. What I want to do is see if I can bring up a history going back. Let's say bring up a history going back to January of Holly, because I want to show you different items here. Always the exit reason and the exit time is always conservative mode. Always, always, always conservative mode, because we know that moderate mode means either the stop got hit, and if it didn't get hit, we sold it at the end of the day, right at the close at the end of the day, essentially. So your exit time and your exit reason will always be in conservative mode. Conservative has 5 different exits that can happen, but not all trades, not all strategies will have them as an option that day based on how they were optimized. Okay. So exit number 1 that we'll go over, because it's right up top, is what we call a profit save. So we can see BTNX here. All right. Had what we were called a profit save yesterday. It's essentially a trailing stop. All right. And so what happened is that it was a short trade. All right. Our stop was up here. All right. The trade, it came down into the money down here, and it started to not work. So see how this area right here is a little darker shaded than the rest of all this right here? That indicates where the trade was live in conservative mode. The trade started to reverse to go negative. And so Holly's algorithm said, we're not going to let it go negative, because this was our entry right here. And so Holly exited somewhere on this candle here for a profit save. It does not work exactly like a trailing stop, but it's very close to a trailing stop. So that's one conservative exit. Another conservative exit is a target hit. So unfortunately, we'd have to go way back here on the way back machine to see it. Let's see if I can scroll back. That's a long, long, long ways back. Well, we're going to get there. We're going to find it. There we go. Let's zoom in a bit now that we've got there. All right. Zoom in a bit more. And we can see here, it was a very fast target hit. All right. But we can see an entry, the target, and the stop. They're very fine lines. I understand that, but that's what we're looking at. And the target was hit, and conservative, she was out. Moderate does not have a target. All right. So if a target's hit, again, conservative mode. Okay. Next, we're going to come across timed exit. Let's zoom back out a little bit. We don't have to go back as far on this. So again, this is another conservative exit. This is number 3 out of 5 conservative exits that can happen. All right. And so what happened here is Holly got into the trade. A stop was not hit, and there was no profit save that kicked in. It may not have had a profit save for an exit on the strategy. I don't know for that day what it had, but it had a hold time, and that hold time was met and it sold. Most hold times will actually be either a 3:30 Eastern sell or a 3:45 Eastern sell. Some strategies might come with a 60, a 45, a 60, or a 90-minute hold time too. Okay. But that's what the whole timed exit means as far as that goes. And then we have, please have one, reduce risk. You know what? I want to exit the history. Let's go with real time because I believe there's a reduced risk in here. Yes. So here we have a reduced risk. We're going to zoom in a little bit here. And reduced risk is this. We entered the trade. It's not working. We're not going to stick around for the stop. All right. For whatever reason, whatever's in the algorithm in the back end says we ain't sticking around. And so that's what happened here. This was a short trade. Holly entered here. The stop was here. Okay. Doesn't look like there was a target on this. It just looks like there's positive, showing where the alpha on the trade, what it would be, what it would look like. In this, we can see we got the entry on Holly on this candle, and we went negative, and we went positive, and we went negative and positive, and we went negative and positive. And we could see the trade started a trend to negative the whole time. So instead of sticking around for that stop, Holly killed it on this candle before that stop. And that's the way that it went. All right. Reduce risk. All right. That's exit reason number 4. Stop hit. It happens. They protect us. The stop got hit here. Holly entered the trade. All right. She got to zoom back out because it was a short. So that means she sold on this candle. She entered on this candle, which was a short sale. All right. Stayed buyers and sellers pretty even. And then that 45 minutes or so right there, they took off to the buyers were winning and got us stopped out. Unfortunately, it stopped out and came right back down. It's the name of the game in trading. All right. And that's why I always think that Holly is human and machine to be done the best that way. Okay. There's things that Holly's not going to be able to see once the trade is entered that we can see as humans and reading charts and looking at volume and things like that and how stock has been reacting during the day. And that's why I think human and machine works best. And Holly, I think I prefer to call her a trading assistant versus an AI. And then last but not least, no, that covered it all, right? We covered target. We covered it. We covered every one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we covered all 5. Stop hit. All right. So those are the basic functions within Holly like that. All right. Holly will not trade pre-market. She will not trade post-market. The earliest she will ever trade is 5 minutes after the market open, 9:35 Eastern time. Most of her trades, I will say, will be initiated in between 9:45 Eastern time and probably about 1 o'clock Eastern time. Sometimes things can trigger earlier or later. Things can trigger later than that, but you'll never see something before 9:35 Eastern. All right. A few other Holly notes here. We have a wonderful user's guide section on it again. Let me find what I'm looking for on this. Again, our user's guide really going to be our friend here. So if we're on our website, we come to education. Let's not join the class. Let's look at the TI user guide. All right. There's a whole section on Holly here. Okay. We can click on, go through all these items. There's short videos here. There's also another Holly guide I'm going to share with you right now. It's a little different. Give me a moment. And please, bookmark all these. I really think there's some great links for you folks to go over. And as I said, I know everybody wants to hit the ground running. They want to take the jet out. They want to fly it around. The learning curve for everybody will be a little different. But as you pick up things, it'll be a snowball effect. You're going to understand things quicker and quicker and quicker. All right. So let me see. Let me type answer. Paste, send. That's a second Holly guide that I just sent out to you. I put it in the questions panel. That's going to look like this here. All right. It's going to go into, who is Holly? What does Holly do? Where do I find Holly? Holly strategies. All right. All these things in here. You're going to have all kinds of questions. I bet most of them get answered in here. I'm here, multiple days. I'm in a live chat during the day. You can find me on. I'm going to show you that in a moment too. All right. So if we click on Holly strategies, okay. Here we go. Here's all of Holly's strategies, over 60 base strategies. Okay. Goes over each one of these strategies in here. All right. Some videos that'll accompany these. All right. All the way down through this whole section. All right. going over it all. Okay. Lots and lots of information in here. The last thing I want to show you folks is on our homepage, on any of our pages, excuse me, whether you're on the education tab, if you click trading room, maybe not trading room. Yes, even trading room. If you click features page, media page, any of these things here, notice there's an orange questions and answers bubble here. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern to 4:30 p.m. Eastern. You can come here, all right? Click on this, click ask. Right now, it's not going to go to it because the chat is closed. Let me do this. If you click ask and you click chat instead of email, and then you're going to type in your question, and then you're going to type in your email, it's going to drop you into a live chat. 9 times out of 10, you're probably getting me unless I'm involved in a webinar already. All right. So it's another live way to get at us during the day if you have a question. Okay. I got to close that chat now, though. There we go. All right. You can get us through the email function through this as well. All right. So you've got multiple emails to get us through this live chat. Every day at noon Eastern on YouTube, we're live for a live Q&A. Barry's in the traders room. He doesn't handle as much of the new questions, but just hang out in there. Barry also shares all of his scans. All right. You can get all of his scans from him. He's been doing this. He's been a Trade Ideas user for probably over 10 years. He's been working for Trade Ideas for probably 8. All right. He knows the software in and out like just about nobody else does. So there's all these live ways that we're here, the user's guide, these webinars. All right. I know there's, tons and tons and tons. So be patient, bear with the system. You watch where you are today with what we've just gone over and going over the user's guide, and watch where you are a week from now and how much you're going to know. And believe me, the more you learn on this software, the more you realize you don't know. And there's stuff that even I don't use in the software ever. Nobody's an expert in everything. As you go forward, my suggestion to you is to start to come up with a real trading plan. And a trading plan has not a lot to do with scanning a lot of times. A trading plan is what charts interest me? Why do they interest me? How do I share size? Why do I share size? How do I decide my stop? Why did I decide that stop? How do I decide a target? How do I manage my trades? When you can start to answer those questions, you will be able to a lot easier build scans, because you will say, well, these are the answers to these questions. So let me start to look up items within the scanning saying, all right, what kind of charts do I like? I like things that are breaking out on 20 days, for example. And you'll be able to look at position in 20-day range, for example, and find stocks that are breaking out of the 20-day range. And you'll say, I like this kind of volume. And you'll add that volume to that scan. And you'll say, I also like to see maybe a certain range of price. And you're going to add that range of price, and so on and so forth. And all these things will come together. What I tell people is trading is a puzzle. The beautiful part about it is we get to decide what puzzle pieces we want and how they fit. And if we decide we don't like a puzzle piece, we kick it out. And we decide we need a new puzzle piece, we bring it in. And that's how all this will work. So again, I thank you all very kindly. I'm really hoping to get you all up to speed very quickly. Like I said, I'll be back here tomorrow. Again, you'll find us here on the education tab. The trading room is broadcasted from 2 places. You can either use this trading room and create a login there, or you can come down here, daily sessions. This is actually our traders room from the YouTube side. If you click that, once Barry has the room open about 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, you'll be in there. And like I said, noon Eastern, Barry will give up the stream for an hour. It'll be a live Q&A. And then tomorrow at 3:30, Barry will leave for the day, and I will take over at 3:30 Eastern tomorrow, and we'll do it. It's a more open forum like that tomorrow. So again, I thank you all folks very much. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm going to stop the screen sharing now, and I am going to cut the webinar short. And again, I thank you all very kindly for attending, and I hope to see you all in the future. Thank you and have a wonderful